Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Ricardo Marquez, and today I'm answering a Q&A about how have I dealt with gang violence in my community. Take a little sip real quick. So, I was born and raised in Salinas, California, and that is a subject and a history that it's plagued the area. So everyone kind of thinks that, I guess, the image that I portray on my Instagram and social media, that I live a pretty cushy life. You might assume that I would never really run into normal struggles that people go through on a day-to-day and regular basis, but you would be quite surprised. And that's why I wanted to film today's episode for the Q&A about my, I guess, particular, encounters with gang violence in my area. So I've had a lot, and we're going to be talking about one, I guess, specific incident. It's a good way to put it. So I've been an avid skateboarder my whole life. I would say probably took it serious at the end of middle school. Obviously, I progressed. I don't know. Got a pretty sweet ass. Got a PJ Lad tech deck right here. Anyways, so I predominantly would hang out at the skate park. So we're gonna go back to it's roughly 2006. We're gonna say this is between 2006, 2007. I think we were forward 2008. Cause I remember it was somewhere in between my sophomore and junior year. And let's see here. So I hung out at the skate park pretty often, and I was definitely in high school. I was definitely in high school. I was in high school for sure. And so I'm hanging out with my friends at the skate park. A lot of the members of the Salinas community will probably know some of the people that I mentioned. I remember before I left the skate park, I was with my buddy Seth Faulkner. Seth Faulkner is a huge skateboarder in the community. A lot of the companies and pros probably knew Seth. Seth was one of the biggest skateboarders in the area. He was chilling with me. And I remember I felt kind of weird before we were leaving. I felt like someone was just fucking staring at me. And we're at the skate park at the Natividad Creek Park. And there's a lot of people that day. And so I'm like, fuck. So me and my friends were like, oh, let's get out of here. We felt sketched out. There was like some gangster fools hanging out. And it's pretty big park. Pretty small. It's a pretty small park. But for us, it's kind of big. So there's a lot of people kind of just spread out all over the park, and I was a big pothead, so we're like, okay, let's get some weed. So we bought some weed off of this gangster fool, and this guy tells me, hey, you guys should dip. My friend's tripping off of you guys. He said he's gonna try to do something to you. So at least this fool, he gives me the heads up, and so I'm like, dang, I'm tripping. I'm kind of like in shock, like, oh fuck, like what the fuck, like why is somebody tripping off of me? And so I was pretty arrogant and young, and so I'm trying to get everybody to leave with me, so this way I'm not leaving by myself, so this guy just doesn't chase after me. Cause I think specifically the guy that I bought weed off of told me, like, hey, get your friends and get out of here, so that way this guy doesn't try to follow you by yourself. So try to get all my friends. I think Neil was there. I remember for sure Mitchell was there. Momet, Macaron or whatever. For sure Seth was there, because I remember there was a lot of people. So we're leaving the group, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go blaze. We're gonna smoke weed. And so me and all my friends were leaving the Natividad Creek Park, and this guy's following us. And then out of nowhere, he kind of gets in front of us and is like trying to, and I can't remember what exactly he said, but I remember he came up to me and he's like, I don't like you, like, oh, you gotta fight me. And I was tripping, and I remember very specifically I was wearing some Nike SB. I was wearing the P-Rods, but specifically the P-Rod ones, and they were gray, and they had like that neon green kind of like section with like a black check. And I had a Daniel Castillo chocolate board. It had like the Rasta colorway, and it had his face in black in the middle. And I was probably 16 years old, and boom, just decks me just in the face. Was not expecting it. I'd never met this guy before in my life. Mexican dude. I'm Mexican, so I got caught off guard. I was 16, and I couldn't believe this dude just sucker punched and just cold clocked me. And he's like, I'm gonna take your board or you gotta fight me. And I was holding my face, and I was like, fuck, like I just got punched. Like I went into shock. And like I kind of like, fuck, like obviously I can't fight with my skateboard, so I kind of threw my board down. And because he was trying to pull it from me, so I pulled it away and I threw it, and then we just started going at it. I was just kind of like, fuck, like I can't do anything, like, you know. I look back, and no one wanted to help me. I think at one point he challenged all of us, but he specifically said that he wanted to fight me. And I can't believe that I turned back and no one had my back. None of my homies had my back. And then specifically the dude that sold us weed started recording. And then somehow, like later on, I guess they're saying that fool said that no one was allowed to get in the fight. So anyway, so we keep going. So we're still going. I'm like, fuck, I'm tripping. I'm like, damn, like I gotta fight this fool or he's gonna fucking steal my shit. He's pretty much just like, oh, I'm gonna jack your shit. So I'm like, fuck, like I have to fight this guy. So the dude that sold me weed's recording this, and we're going at it, we're throwing blows, I'm taking him, I'm throwing him, swinging him, and it wasn't until like later on I realized more people had gathered to literally just watch. And you have to keep in mind, I'm a high school kid at the time. I was like 16, 17, I was probably like 16 years old. And I'm fighting a grown-ass fucking man. Like a grown-ass fucking Mexican. I'm Mexican. So I'm fighting a grown-ass Mexican dude. Because I remember he had a shaved head. And he had like a little thin, like a thick but kind of thin mustache. For sure he had like a mustache for sure. I'm trying to remember. But I remember he had a shaved head. And so did his homie. And I could not believe that I'm fighting this guy. And all these people are watching a grown man fighting a high school kid. So, like, I'm 33 now. Like, there's, like, if I ever fought, like, anyone like that, like, I would go straight to jail. Like, there would not be, like, any justification in that at all. There'd be no explaining shit. So now I'm almost, like, just baffled. Like, fuck, like, no one has my back. And I'm fucking literally fighting for my life. And so we're going at it. At one point, I finally get him in a headlock, and I start punching him. And you have to remember, I was a lot smaller than I am now, and I'm pretty lanky. I'm not even that big. I'm pretty small, like male, average, like 5'10", 5'11". I barely weigh like 160. So like imagine. Even less, shorter and less weight. So at the time I didn't know to turn my wrist up, so I'm like punching him. The choke isn't really doing much, because then eventually he's able to break from the choke and separated me. So then we're still going at it. We must have been fighting for like a cool minute, because I remember like a lot of people had like just gathered and was literally watching. People were just recording. And keep in mind, I don't know if they realize, but it's a grown-ass man fighting a high school kid. And, like, I'm just, like, a lanky, I had, like, shaggy long hair. If you went to Auras, you know, I had, like, long, shaggy, like, weird hair. And so, I'm just tripping. So, eventually, he gets me in a fucking chokehold. This grown-ass fucking, he was a husky pretty like big guy. He was fucking fat. Fat Mexican bald dude. And eventually he's like choking me out. And finally someone, I don't know if it was fucking Momat, but he tells the dude like, hey bro, like fucking tell your boy to fucking cut it. Or I don't know if my brother came in time. I think that because then I know Seth had left after we started fighting, because I think Matt was telling my brother that someone had a gun from the, I guess like the gangster he was saying that his name was like PJ. I think he said his name was like PJ, and he was from Casitas or whatever. So that's like the street that's next to the Natividad Creek Park. It doesn't really fucking matter because I was in high school, so I'm more tripping that like someone would even try to fight a high school kid and try to bang on a bunch of high school kids that were skateboarders. So, I mean, that's how I see it when I look at gang violence, that as a kid, we were terrorized by gangs, and it was crazy just kind of looking back and thinking about it. So, eventually, his friend recording breaks the fight up because I'm literally choking, like, to death. The dude's choking me out, and luckily, they break up the fight. And I'm kind of gasping as he lets go. And I look around, and there's literally adults. There's literally like fucking Karens with their strollers. I swear to fucking God, because that guy was recording it. So literally, there's a bunch of kids. None of my friends did fucking shit. I got beat up. I'm 16 years old, and I just got beat up by a grown-ass fucking Mexican fucking gangbanger. He was like, oh yeah, fucking, I'm PJ from Casitas. I'm like, fuck. So I'm like 16, and I see my brother, and my brother runs to me, and I started crying. And all I could say was that I lost, and I was just heartbroken to know that nobody did anything to help me. Like, no one thought to try to stop the fight, get involved, help back me up. Nothing. Like, I witnessed adults stand by and do nothing as I got my ass kicked. A 16-year-old kid gets beat up by an adult, and no one does anything. There's more than like 50 people literally watching. And I mean, if that dude ever kind of just gives me the video, I literally got my ass kicked in front of everybody for no fucking reason at all, just because he didn't like the way I looked. And I think that really sucks, kind of thinking now today how all the little kids are trying to like do whatever to fit in. I was just a normal fucking skateboard kid, baggy pants, like I said. I think I was wearing like some type of white tee, jeans, and I had my P-Rod ones. I specifically remember they were the gray ones with the green patch. I got fucked up. I remember I was bleeding. Specifically, I seen this couple, and the girl was like just in shock. She couldn't believe like that no one did shit. Like a whole crowd of people just watched, and to me, it's like I can't believe that no one did anything. Like a high school kid's literally just getting beat the fuck up by a bunch of gangsters. And I think like later on, Matt was saying like, oh yeah, they said that one of them had a gun, so he didn't want to do anything. That they were gangsters, and that he wasn't sure why. And I'm crying, just destroyed. Just could not believe that the entire community would not do a damn thing to save me. Like, no one cared. They just wanted to watch. People just came from all over the Natividad Creek Park right there. I guess like when you come down the hill from the tennis courts to go to the skate park, in that little grass area, everyone just watched. And I think that's what really broke me inside, is that people will come to just see you fail. And I remember specifically we're in the parking lot and we're trying to figure out where we're gonna go, and my brother like picks me up. So luckily Seth called my brother. He's like, hey, Richie's fighting. So some gangster fools just came and they tried to check us, and they fucking decked Richie, and they pulled out a gun and said if we did anything, they were gonna fuck it, and then they were gonna fuck us up. And so I don't even blame Seth. Seth did the smartest thing to do, and was just fucking leave, because chances are they were probably gonna fucking just rob us. Fucking if all those people didn't show up. But I think I was more pissed that Mitchell didn't do shit. Like, my best friend, like, wouldn't even, like, risk, wouldn't risk, you know, put his neck out there to try to back me up. And I remember specifically told my brothers, like, just Mitchell was not fucking coming over, because I think all my brothers, like, oh, well, do you just want to go smoke weed? I remember at the time my brother was staying at the cottage homes near Alvarez, and so there's like new, there's it, what is it, Nantucket, I think it's like on Nantucket and like New Haven or some shit like that. There's like basketball courts, so they had built these new houses, so I think that was the only thing my brother could do to comfort me at the time was to be like, oh, yo, I got you, we want to go smoke a blunt, and my face was just fucking bruised. I was fucking bleeding. I got fucked up. This grown ass man was just fucking wailing on me when I was like 16, just fucking beating the shit out of me. I'm just glad that I was able to fucking hold my own. And pretty much stand up to fucking a grown ass man, whether he was like somewhere like in his mid-20s. Like, I think that's crazy for this fool to just fucking think that it was cool to just show up to the skate park and just randomly pick some fucking kid and to fight. Like, that's crazy. So yeah, I ended up just going back to my brother's house, just feeling completely destroyed. And when we were just smoking weed, and I told I made sure a lot of the people that were there, is like, you know what, none of you are fucking coming with me. I'm just gonna go smoke weed by myself. And the thing I remember was just Matt, Seth, I think Neil. I think it was Matt Barone, Seth Faulkner. I think it was like Neil Wahiga, and like I think one or two other people, and like Mark Mendoza. And I went back to my brother's house to go smoke a blunt, because that's all I could do was just like, fuck, I'm 16 years old, and I just got worked by some fool that like banged on me. Like, so I mean, it is what it is. I just had to suck it up. I remember just completely felt defeated. Like, could not believe after, you know, the dude let me go out of the choke, I was like losing consciousness, and I'm like, fuck, like, all of you are just standing here not doing shit. I'm ready to go back to school after all of this, and this little girl, one of the girls in my homeroom, her name was Alyssa, I told her, she's like, oh, what's wrong? Like, I told her, oh, I got beat up at the skate park. This bitch fucking has the nerve to laugh. And she's like, oh, who was it? And I was like, oh, fucking, he said his name was JP, and from Casitas. And then this bitch was like, oh, maybe it was my ex-boyfriend. And she was definitely fucking just playing, not realizing, like, how, like, hurt I was about it, and me understanding that, like, this bitch did not understand the severity of what happened. And, so anyways, like, whatever. But yeah, so that's, like, just one incident of my interaction, or I guess encounters, with gang violence, to where I was 16 years old, and I got beat up in front of just fucking the whole fucking community at the Natividad Creek Park, and no one gave a fuck. And it's just crazy. Luckily, the gang violence that I grew up seeing has died down. It's definitely not as crazy as it was when there was just like a spike, and it was just fucking too crazy to even go outside your front door. So that was one incident where I encountered hostility and my, I guess, incident with gangs and gang violence here in the Salinas Valley. It's pretty crazy, but this is the community I've grown up with. So I guess when people kind of think that, oh, you're from Salinas, you live like the suburbs, it's picture perfect. It's not picture perfect. I mean, you take the good with the bad. I love the city for what it is, but I mean, it hasn't been sunshine and rainbows out here in in the Monterey County. But like I said, I still love my city, and I guess all I could really do is give you guys just these stories that I have, so that we can, I guess, build upon, so people are aware of, you know, just the gang violence is prevalent, and that everyone, you know, has their own story to tell. And, you know, it's not just me that has a story. There's a lot of other people in my community that have stories to tell, and I felt like it would be a way for me to kind of open up and kind of give people an insight and just kind of another side to who Ricardo Marquez is. And definitely had a chip on my shoulder after that. Had to have my head on a swerve. Could not go without having to look over my shoulder, and it's pretty crazy. But yeah, my name is Ricardo Marquez, and this has been my episode of gang violence here in the city of Salinas, California. So hope you guys can enjoy the video, and drop a like, drop a positive comment, especially if you're from Salinas. You definitely just have to like just like the video, just in general, just show your support for wanting to change the area for the better. I've got more stories to come, but I felt like I would just kind of focus on one incident, so that way the video doesn't have to be so long. Cool, I really appreciate it if you made it this far to the video or watched the whole thing through. And cool, thanks, and I hope you guys enjoyed.